Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to step back to when I first spoke to you. And I'm going to just remind you about a few things. The first thing is you need to listen to instructions. You are mature students now. If there is an instruction, you need to stick to it. If it says get the document off Learn 2023, that is what it means. You can't go and make up your own and just type your own. When it says you must send in your recycle project on a document that you get off Learn 2023, don't do a video for me. You're not listening. And the reason you're not listening is the reason because you're not connecting with me. You are not sending me a message and saying, Google, must we do this or must we do that? And then I tell you and you do the right thing. You're just carrying on. I ask a question on the WhatsApp group. That WhatsApp group is purely between you and me. That's all. If you want to do a private one, you put all the students on a private one and you have a social one. And it's terribly disrespectful to speak in Zulu on a WhatsApp group when somebody doesn't understand the language or speak the language. I spoke to you about that. I sent an email about that. Nobody worries. So, the other thing is you need to keep up with the work. Now, I'm going to go through what has to be handed in, what still has to be done, and then today I'm going to go on to teaching strategies, because tomorrow we start lesson planning, ready or not. I've got to carry on, and the marks go in. If it's a naught, it's a naught. I can't help you. I did say at the beginning of this course, I will help you. You have to help yourself as well. Right. Now, these are the assignments that should have been in by now. The first one was the case study. Had to be in today. That was the first one I gave you. The second one I gave you was the one that I gave you on the SACE document. That had to be in last Thursday. It's finished. The marks are in. The next one was the recycle project, which had to be done on that document from Learn 2023. It had to be in yesterday. Then there's the interactive chart, which has to be in tomorrow. The interactive chart has to be done in a video. And I don't want a whole lesson. I want you to put up the board. I want you to say, this is what I will do. It comes from the CAPS document. It is grade 9 English, second term. The topic is parts of speech. The topic, the content area is this. And then show me, explain, take it down, and say that is what it looks like. That's all. You don't have time to give lessons. The lessons are still going to come. Then yesterday I did the media. The one that we did was the first one where we spoke about Bloom's taxonomy and you had to make up the questions. And the second one was the worksheet where you had to make a worksheet. And it was Wade van Niekerk. Now, please, you need to keep up with this. Because the next thing is the lesson plan, which has to come in. And on Friday when I see you, you've got to be ready, because I'm carrying on then with the next lot of work. We can't go backwards. Right, I'm going to go on today to teaching strategies. What is a strategy? A strategy is a method you work out, a way of doing things. When I have to do something that needs a little bit of thought, I have to work out a way of getting it done. You have to do this course. You have to work out a strategy of how you're going to do it. Every day you're going to go to Learn 2023. You're going to listen to the PowerPoint presentations. Then you're going to go to your WhatsApp group and you're going to listen to the summary which I'm giving you. That's a strategy, a way of doing it, not just any old way. Now we need teaching strategies. how are we going to get this information that I've got in my lesson plan? How am I going to get it across to the children? And this is important because this is either the success or the failure of your lesson or of your teaching. So a teaching strategy is a method. It's a way of doing things. And in your lesson plan, it will come up because in your lesson plan, you have to write down the kinds of strategies you are going to use to do this lesson. And you're going to choose from these. And I'm going to quickly just go through them with you. The first one is an explanation strategy. The explanation method. Explaining things to them. Explaining how this works. Explaining how that works. Explanation. It's self-explanatory. It's explanation. The next one is question and answer. I give the question, they give the answers. Maybe they give the questions to each other. It's a question and answer method. And before we go on, let me tell you that there is no one way of teaching. You either use all of these, or you use 3, or you use 4. But you can't just use one method every time you teach. It's not going to happen. The next one is whole class teaching, where I stand in the front and I give the lesson to the whole class. Will that work? No. They're going to get bored. They can't just sit there and listen to me talk, give it all, and that's the end of the lesson. So that can't work on its own. This can't work on its own. This can't work on its own. It's got to be done with other strategies. The next one is role play. We've spoken about that, where I get children to come up, or I myself, or puppets, or whatever, do something. And we do a role play for them to understand better. Or I give the lesson, and then I say to them, would you like to get into groups now and come and role play it? And they can sit in groups and work out a way of doing a role play with it. Group work, where I put them into groups. Now, I can't teach in groups. I can't start my lesson and say, all get into groups now, I'm going to teach. What point is that? So group normally comes after I have taught the lesson. I put them into their groups. I don't put them into groups in the introduction. Demonstration. That could be a way that I start the lesson. I demonstrate something. I once had a student who demonstrated in his introduction. He walked into the class, he closed all the windows, he closed the door, he lit something, threw it on the floor, and smoke, of course, began to smell, and all of the students began to go, what is he doing? It stinks. And that was his lesson on pollution. So he gave a demonstration. The next one is problem-based. I start the lesson with a problem, and I ask them to try and work it out. And once they've all had a chance at trying to work it out, I then bring them back again and I say, right, now, this is one way of solving that problem. For instance, I would tell them something about soil erosion. And I'd say, how would you use the land? How would you do this? How would you do that? It's a problem. It's a problem in our country. And then bring them all back again and then start my lesson on soil erosion. Then there's gamification. Those are games that children can play. They love it. Give them a crossword puzzle. Give them a Sudoku. Give them some game that they play. And then there's technology, where I do it by means of a PowerPoint presentation or an overhead projector that I use. And then, of course, there's realia teaching. In technology, there's also the video that I can show. In realia teaching, it's bringing the real things for them to feel, for them to use, for them to see. It works. doesn't matter what age they are, grade 1s, grade 10s, grade 12s, showing them the real thing works. They remember it. So these are all the strategies. There are lots of others. And they are in your Getting Practical book, your textbook, which I don't think any of you have even. Let alone listen to these. You're not even looking on to Learn 2023, so I can't expect you to go into your textbook. And I know you've got a lot of work. I understand that. I understand that this is not the only subject. But we did say at the beginning, you are late registrations and you need to work. Right, so these are your strategies. Now, I want to just go through to the video. On Learn 2023, there is a video that you need to watch. And the video is done by a teacher in England. And we think, oh well, England is different to here. There are some things in teaching that stay the same, whether you're in China, whether you're in New Zealand, wherever you are. And one of those things is strategies, the way you put things across. And in this video, this lady, this teacher, gives 3 things that we must remember when we're teaching in a classroom. The first thing is they must move. They must move. We keep on saying to them, sit still, get in your desk, sit still. They can't. They can't sit still for longer than 10 or 15 minutes. So, we play their game. After 10 minutes, you say to them, stand up. All of you, stand up. Now, I want you to talk to the person next to you and tell them what you've learned so far in this lesson. And use it. Don't let them stand and talk about what they did yesterday and who won the soccer and Manchester United and all the rest of it. You're obviously going around and you're listening what's going on. And then you say, sit down, now we're going to carry on. You have to let them move. You also have to let them talk. They can't just sit like this for an hour, just listening to you. They just switch off. And there's a saying that says, when the bum is numb, the brain's the same. They switch it off and they're just not interested. So you've got to keep the interest. And she says that one of the ways is to make them move around, stand up, lift their arms, do something with them, and then let them sit down and carry on. And the third thing is, she says, before you get them to do anything, get their attention. There are so many teachers these days that give instructions, whether they're listening or not, doesn't matter. She's given the instruction and now it's over. She expects them all. They won't. Unless they are all connected to you and looking at you in the eye and you realize that they're all listening, they won't do it. So get their attention first and then give the instruction. I hope that this is very clear, and I hope that I have emphasized to you how important it is that you keep up with this work. I'll speak to you a little bit later, and on the email that I did send you, I sent you the notes on the CAPS document, so please keep them in your file. On Friday we will speak again about the files, and I'd like you to bring them to class. Thanks very much.